Guys, in this video I'm gonna show you something that literally nobody is talking about and something that's absolutely crazy, and you have to know this, you have to understand this as Bitcoin investors, as participants of the financial markets, or just as the citizens of the world, because what is about to happen is absolutely insane. So we'll get to it in just a second. First, let's talk about the technicals, and the technicals are actually quite good still. We are hovering above our main resistance, which is currently at about 22,676, and we are forming another interesting wedge formation, which is, we had this beautiful one with this breakdown because of the potential DOJ announcement everybody got so scared of, and then the continuation of the price, and now finally we're actually hovering above 23,000 as well, which was very important for us. If you watched my previous video, I'm gonna link it up here, check it out. And right now we are in this wedge right here, and certainly, guys, I'm pretty sure that the price is gonna move on the interest rate decision for sure, but it could move a little bit before as well, as oftentimes we've seen in the past. So therefore, this is a very easy tradable pattern. So if we break above with any kind of volume, then this is our long signal. If we're actually going to be breaking down below, actually right here of 22,700, so we're going to be breaking down below of this support as well as this green support, which comes from a bigger time frame, which is basically this order block right here, which is very important for us. So, and this is actually a beautiful shorting opportunity. And when it comes to the targets of this breakout to the either side, which really, I mean, these kinds of formations are the easiest to trade. Short side is going to be this support to be just on a reasonable side, 21,800. So this is going to be this potential support of this dotted yellow line, and that's basically coming from as this huge resistance we had from this daily huge wedge, which is very important. So this is a beautiful target, a little bit more reasonable than the actual target of this wedge breakdown. And then when it comes to the break to the upside, prior to potentially market being very positive ahead of the decision rate, the actual decision on the interest rate, and this target could be at about 24,600, or we could actually round it up to like closer to 25k, because remember that it's going to also very nicely coincide with this very important level of 25,319 whatever dollars, and this is going to coincide also very nicely with the weekly moving averages that are coming in hot literally right here at our weekly chart. So 200 moving average and 50 moving average in the weekly chart, as we've seen it before. So therefore, this actual pattern is going to be absolutely beautiful to trade, and in the precise way that I've just showed you in the hourly chart. And if you want to see all of our trades, then go down into the description of this video and join our free Discord channel. There is a link to it and very easy to join. It's absolutely free and you'll see all of our trades. And certainly if you need an exchange that you can trust, that doesn't have any stupid fat about it, then there is a link down in the description of this video to Bybit, which can give you up to $30,000 in initial deposit bonuses in real money credited to your account. All instructions are once you sign up only using my link and go to the reward center, everything is there. Okay, now let's talk about the crazy stuff that is upcoming, and then at the end of the video we're going to talk about something that literally nobody is talking about. Guys and girls, brace yourselves, this is very important. So first things first, very bullish again, very much fun to be honest. New York considers a bill to establish cryptocurrency as a form of payment for state agencies. So, I mean, how crazy is this? A bill has been introduced in the US state of New York to allow state agencies to accept cryptocurrency payments, including Bitcoin, Ether, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash. The legislation proposes allowing crypto to be used as a means of payment of fines, civil penalties, rents, rates, taxes, fees, charges, and much more. I mean, insane, isn't it? So now, next thing is U.S. Senator Ted Cruz introduces a bill to enable crypto payments on Capitol Hill. Capitol Hill is in Washington, where all the lawmakers basically are sitting and working in the United States. So basically, what he wants to do is enable crypto payments for the purchases of vending machines, snacks, etc. So this is small, but nonetheless, I mean, it's happening, right? I mean, it's still it's the fact that it's in the talks anyway. Certainly, vending machines isn't as huge as taxes and fees in New York, but nonetheless, I think it's quite crazy. Next thing is Goldman Sachs ranks Bitcoin best performing asset so far this year, and it is. I mean, we've seen the chart before. Bitcoin has outperformed everything this year, and so far it's on the verge of showing us the best January, as the best beginning of the year since 2013, or something absolutely crazy, despite all the FUD and all the naysayers saying Bitcoin is going to zero. So, I mean, eat it. Now, also, because of this, the momentum and actual sentiment in the market is starting to change, and a lot of people are starting to predict Bitcoin hitting 200,000 very soon, and then the next bear market will be around 70K in the next cycle, etc. And now this brings me to the topic, guys, that you have to understand. Every time when we've seen a huge rally in the Bitcoin price, let me just find an interesting chart that I had actually set up for you, and it was this one right here with the purple dotted line being the halving. And all the time before halving happens, we see the bottom in the price for the bear market, and then actual rally happens. Same thing is happening right here, the previous one, and also the one before the previous one, and also the previous cycle right here, right after the COVID crash, we had the halving, and then boom, the explosion to $70,000 per Bitcoin. And our next halving, believe it or not, is coming approximately in the first quarter of next year, so in about 1 year time. And usually, according to all our projections and usual expectations from the halving, is that we're supposed to have some kind of a huge relief even in the middle, or even far before the actual halving happens. So, and right now, like time-wise, we are already in the perfect zone to start seeing this kind of relief right into this halving, and then certainly seeing this huge momentum just going, and seeing this actually. These are my targets for Bitcoin price. So if you're interested, please pause the video and take a look. This is from my older video. So usually we are starting to see huge momentum in the Bitcoin price right before the halving. So it's not the halving itself which triggers it, but right into it, because speculators are starting to bet on the upside move because halving is coming up. But guys, what I want to show you is what nobody is literally talking about right now is the fact that halving narrative is dead. It's dying, and you're going to call me, you're going to go down in the comments right now and say, Thomas, you're absolutely crazy. What do you mean? Halving is happening. It still is the same thing. And just for those of you who don't understand such pure basics, like what is halving, is basically slashing in half the reward for miners that are mining Bitcoin, therefore sustaining this whole network of Bitcoin. So basically, if you were using your NVIDIA graphics card and you were making $1 a day or whatever in mining, or whatever it is that miners are making, then after halving officially happens, you'll be making, instead of $1, 50 cents. So this means that the supply is shrinking. So less Bitcoin is being mined, less Bitcoin is going into the open market. Therefore, the price, there is a supply and demand shock. So therefore, when there is less supply and the same demand, the price simply goes up. This is the laws of the market, and this is what we have been seeing for quite some time. However, this narrative is actually dying. So let me explain exactly why. So here is this big article, and I'm gonna try to go through this as soon as possible, because guys, you need to understand this stuff. So this is precisely what it's talking about. Is the halving narrative actually dead? So number one, what we really want to take a look at is this bull market and the reality of this bull market fell really short of the expectations. So this is actually the performance. The orange line is our current performance in the current bull market and currently bear market compared to other bull markets that we've had before. And therefore, a lot of people were expecting Bitcoin to at least hit $100,000 in the current bull market, and we actually underperformed our usual bull market performance. So this is thing number one, which is going to lead us into understanding why the halving narrative is actually dead. So in here, very important is to understand that the fact that the Bitcoin halving narrative didn't align very well with the price kind of makes sense if we think about the supply dynamics of Bitcoin. This, guys, is going to get a little bit more complicated, but I'm going to explain this in very simple layman terms. And this is most important, supply dynamics of Bitcoin. The halving is specifically about the new coins, again, that miners are mining and then dumping on the open market, that enters the system through the miners. But the real scarcity at a given price comes from the liquid supply of coins. So the more liquid supply we have, the less scarce theoretically the coin is. Therefore, this supply and demand dynamics. So if those newly minted coins are a big fraction of the liquid supply, then the halving actually matters. So when we have a lot of miners mining a lot of Bitcoin and, being a big participant of the liquid supply, so a lot of the coins are from the miners, then the halving actually matters. However, as we were saying, that the current situation is starting to shift dramatically, because every time when halving happens, this reward per block is slashed in half, just as I said. So therefore, if it was $1 million, then it's $500,000, then it's 250,000, and so it goes down so rapidly. So, which is what you have to understand. So on the other hand, at the current rate, the miners collect 330,000 new coins per year. After the next halving, this will drop to like 115,000 coins per year. Is this number really material to the balance of the real supply and demand? And quite honestly, guys, it's not. So let's see, if we look at the ratio of the new coins issued every year to the 1 year active supply, we get something like 5% in the middle of this bear market. So only 5%. So unless everyone suddenly starts hoarding their coins, this percentage will be even lower after the next halving. That means that when it comes to the contribution to the coins that are actually moving around in the system, the new coins are unlikely to have a big impact. 2016, the new coins represented about a fifth of the 1 year active supply. But back then, they certainly had a bigger effect on the supply-demand dynamic. So as we can see right here, we will see an interesting chart that actually shows us the precise situation that is described in this article. So as we go about with every halving, this actual participation of the coins from the miners is going down and down, lower and lower. Like 2016, about 1/5, 20% of liquid active supply was from miners. Therefore, when it was slashed in half, it had a big impact. Therefore, there was this supply and demand shock, which drove the price much higher, more rapidly and more violently. But as we're going down, look, we're currently standing at much lower levels at like 5%. And with the next halving, it's going to go in even lower to something like 2.5%. So therefore, the effect of the halving itself as a narrative has to be physically, just by market dynamics and physics, has to be shrinking twice every time as well. So this is the primary reason why we are so unhappy with the result of, the current bull market. That's why so many people were expecting Bitcoin price at $100,000. This is very basic stuff, but what this means is, if you look at purely at the data, the effect of the halving on the liquid supply is becoming less and less relevant. And as a consequence, spinning the narrative that the halving event is going to be the catalyst for the next bull market is going to be harder than in the past. And it's going to be even harder given that the failed expectation created by this narrative in the third cycle, so the current cycle. So in the Bitcoin halving, is the Bitcoin halving narrative actually dead? And from the point of view of the data, it should be. From the point of view of the expectations of investors, it actually should be too, unfortunately. But that doesn't mean, and this is also very important, that doesn't mean that we're not going to hear about the halving and see people trade around it when it will come about in next year. But as a Bitcoin investors become more sophisticated, it is likely another narrative will start to dominate. Which one will it be? As the author of the article says, he doesn't know yet, but he's going to keep us all updated. So basically, we are sure that the next bull market is not going to be dominated by the actual halving. Everybody's talking about the halving. But guys, this is not what is going to drive the next bull market. You have to understand it, because if you don't understand what is behind the volatility, behind the price move, regardless of which direction it's going, then you're clueless. And it becomes very dangerous for you to be a market participant because you don't understand what is happening. Therefore, this video is made for you. This is why I'm making this and telling you exactly what is happening. So whenever somebody's talking about halving, it's not that relevant. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some volatility because people are expecting halving, but the actual result will actually come from something bigger. For example, XRP winning the lawsuit against SEC. On top of that, we have Fed pivot. On top of that, we have incredible, beautiful regulation for crypto industry, big players dumping a lot of money into crypto space, and therefore seeing mass global adoption of Bitcoin. This will be the narrative, in my personal humble opinion, that is literally going to feed the next bull market and will help us arrive at the targets that we actually have. So therefore, if we're gonna see just the halving and everything else is gonna be terrible, I think that maybe we'll revisit something like 70K, the all-time high, and maybe something like 100K on the lower side of my worst projection ever. So as it says here, no mass adoption, small institutional money influx, etc. and then dump to our next bear market, and then it's gonna look like really bad because we're not seeing extra, narrative besides the fact that, the halving narrative is dead. So physically, the supply and demand is not enough for us to push it to ridiculous highs. So, and therefore, I think that if the narrative is finally gonna dominate in terms of the mass adoption, institutional money influx, etc., this is where I'm saying, and this is going to be like overtaking the power of the actual fact of the halving. In my opinion, is going to rise the price of Bitcoin to at least around $200,000 to $300,000 in the next bull market, which is very, very possible. And then we could drop to the area of, I'm a bit more or less optimistic about the next bear market. So I'm thinking that the next bear market could be around, and it's going to start probably closer to the end of 2026. And the next bear market could be in the vicinity of $40,000 to about $57,000 and not $70,000 like some optimists are predicting right now. So this is, guys, this is very important. This is the understanding of what can happen and why, and therefore shaping your mindset and shaping your understanding of the whole entire industry. Remember about all the bonuses down in the description of this video. Check out this tutorial as to how to trade Bitcoin in shorter time frames with proper risk and money management. And as always, peace and love. Thomas Crollo. Stay smart, stay rich, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.